Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Some Brothers podcast, where us brothers talk about books, movies, music, and more. I'm Dillon, here with my brother Ryan, and before we get into it, do you have any interesting stories to tell from life, or how our dad used to ask us every day after school, did anyone barf on anyone else's shoes?
I have no barf stories, however, and nothing really from my life. I did have one little interesting tidbit that I wanted to bring and talk about because it's something I came across on Reddit that I thought was interesting. Already, episode 2, we're going to be talking about a lot of comic book related stuff. But I don't know. This was interesting. It was like... I think originated, somebody asked the question, like, how come all Spider-Man's villains are green? And then somebody answered with something that I ended up investigating it a little bit more, and there was this thing, at least in the beginning. It's probably less a thing now as people just become generally maybe a little more creative and doing different things. But the idea that superheroes are classically colors like red, blue, and yellow.
Oh, yeah.
And villains are classically like green, purple, orange. You know, when you start thinking about that, you're like, well, yeah, I think so. It makes sense. And, you know, when you think of some examples, it kind of makes sense that, you know, yeah, what they're doing there is a color theory thing. Like, superheroes are primary colors, red, blue, yellow.
Okay,
and the villains are secondary colors, you know. Yeah. And in addition to that, it's also like a good contrast between the two. You know, if you have Spider-Man red and blue, a green is a good contrast to look at, you know. So it's like, I was like, whoa, that's interesting. And I started thinking about it, going back to the comic books that I put on my starting reading list, the series that I put on there. Spider-Man, red and blue. Captain America, red and blue.
Yep, red and blue.
Iron Man, red and yellow. Daredevil, just red, but he starts actually yellow. He's yellow and black or whatever, right? But yellow, you know, like black and white neutral colors. You know, Captain America obviously has white. And then like X-Men, originally all their costumes are blue and yellow. And then later they kind of change and they all have different costumes. Still in the 60s. And Cyclops is blue and yellow. Angel is yellow and red, and then he changes to blue and white. And then Beast has a red and blue costume. Eventually he turns into Hairy Beast and he's blue.
Yeah, he's all blue.
Again, still. Iceman is basically blue. He's like a light blue.
And then Pyro's the bad guy. Pyro is like the fire guy, and he's a bad guy in X-Men, right?
Yeah, well, that would be red. He'd be orange. Actually, he's probably more orange than red. I haven't encountered him in the comics yet.
Maybe he's not orange, and red is more like the Human Torch, who's a good guy.
Yeah, Human Torch is red. Fantastic Four costumes, blue.
Blue, yeah,
right? Yeah. And then guess what? Out of that, the Thing, he's orange, but he's also kind of a monster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Same thing with Hulk.
Hulk is green.
Hulk is green and purple, but he's a monster. But here's the interesting thing about like some of these series that I was reading in the beginning. Then you get to Jean Grey, her costume changes to green and yellow, and she's the only woman. What is that kind of? Oh, it's like, is that a weird? That's like a little bit of a sexist thing going on, because then they add in an early other addition to the X-Men team. They kind of add in Havoc. Havoc is black and white. It's not really. And then Polaris is green again. You know, and she's another woman who is green colored, which is kind of like, what's going on there? Kind of makes just one of those things that made me think.
Yeah,
you know,
that is interesting.
That when they go a different way and they're still a hero, it's either like some monstrous type of person or it's a woman.
Yeah, and
those are the ones that are heroes. Obviously, there are examples that we can find pretty quickly where you go outside of that. Iron Fist is green.
That's what I was going to mention, but maybe they were trying to signify the foreignness of where he gets his powers. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh. Because Power Man is yellow and blue.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So he fits in it. Well, because he's American.
Yeah, so I don't know. We could go on forever talking about colors. Back to the Spider-Man thing, it's like, yeah, there's so many that are green. You just go Electro, Dr. Octopus wears green, Lizard, Vulture, Scorpion, Green Goblin.
Yep, obviously Green Goblin.
Like you could just rattle off so many that are green.
Yeah. That's an interesting thing. I wouldn't have thought of all that color theory stuff because, my guess would have been, they can't be the same color as Spider-Man, obviously, but I wouldn't have thought of the heroes being primary colors and then the villains are like, is it because they're mixed up a little bit psychologically, so they have to be a mix of non-primary colors, or like whatever the psychology is to that color theory is interesting.
Yeah. I think it might have a little bit to do with primary colors were fallen into because the USA, red, white, and blue. You've got red and blue already there, so throw in yellow. It's like an easy thing to do. And when comics were first starting to go, come in, it was World War II and later. You had all that patriotism there, so you wanted to think, Captain America, one of the early ones. You want the red, white, and blue, and it's kind of a natural progression to just put yellow in there, and then all your heroes you're wanting to be red and blue. That's why that's the most common blue. Red and blue is very common, I would say more so than yellow in there, but yellow just thrown in as an accent sometimes. I think that could be part of it, other than just like
so it's also about
and it just kind of shook
country
out that way. But
so maybe if Marvel started in Ireland or something, the green and orange would be the heroes.
Yeah,
could be opposite.
Yeah, could be. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Well,
anyway, that's all I had to bring on that.
Yeah, well, similar to that, we usually get started talking about what we've been reading, watching, or listening to lately. Have you read anything good lately?
Since we last talked, I have read Calico Joe by John Grisham, which is just a short, under 200 pages, kind of a baseball drama type of thing. Type of story. Baseball adjacent. It's kind of really about like the main character's father and their relationship and his relationship with another baseball. The main character's father was a baseball player, and that whole thing. Which I didn't know how much I would like it. I mean, I wanted to read more John Grisham after we did A Time to Kill.
Yeah.
This is not the book that I thought that I would want to follow up with. This was given to me as a gift, and that's why I read it. But I did enjoy it. I don't really pay attention to baseball, but it kind of brought me back in a weird nostalgia to a brief period of time where I kind of was into baseball, like in elementary school. I remember reading a book for AR, right, accelerated reading or whatever, that was just about baseball players. It's just a bunch of baseball players that had a little summary of their careers and stuff like that. I thought it was kind of interesting, and this kind of felt like that to me. It's like I know enough about baseball for it to be kind of interesting a little bit. So that was good, and then I also read No Country for Old Men by Cormac McCarthy. I've seen the movie. You've seen the movie also, right?
Yes.
The book was good, very good. I would recommend it. It is. There are some things more towards the end that are in the book and not the movie, but for the vast majority of it is very similar to the movie. The movie's very similar to the book, I guess, really is the way to say it. And so it's like a direct adaptation, and you could see how this book was written so well to be directly adapted into a movie, with the tension there. So that's what I was reading. What have you been reading?
Yeah, I would like to eventually read through Cormac McCarthy's books in general, all of them. We'll probably do some more episodes on them eventually. He has other adaptations out there. And another author who I'm slowly working through reading all of his books is George Orwell.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty close to being done. I just have 2 of his novels left, and then I will have read all his books, meaning his novels and then his book-length nonfiction. Because I just recently finished Down and Out in Paris and London. This is a nonfiction book, kind of journalistic in style, but it's about his personal experience. He calls it kind of like a travel log, but it's not like traveling to Paris and London to see the sights and stuff. It's more like about poverty. So he goes to Paris and he doesn't have a lot of money and he's struggling to find work. So it's a lot about him working as a dishwasher there. And then he comes back to London, and it's, he was working a lot, but he didn't have money saved up. So when he gets back to London, it's about his experience briefly staying in a homeless shelter. So it's his personal experience, kind of journalistic travelogue, but it's also commentary, analysis on just brief brushes with poverty and his kind of social critique stuff. And yeah, I liked it quite a bit. I like his nonfiction book Homage to Catalonia more. I think I mentioned that in some video we did at some point. Maybe a book haul is when I found it, but that was about his time fighting in the Spanish Civil War. That one I found really interesting. Down and Out was good. It has some great parts in it, but also it goes on long at some points where he's like meeting interesting people and they tell a long story, and sometimes it's like, okay, do I really need to be reading, this random guy's life stories? So it's a little hit and miss. Some parts are great, some parts not as much. So stay tuned. I'll talk about more George Orwell as I get through those last two novels of his. So that's what we've been reading lately. What about watching? Have you watched any good movies or TV lately?
I had a couple things I wanted to talk about. I think last time I talked about watching Bosch.
Oh, yeah.
Since then, we have watched through all of Bosch Legacy, which is the kind of spin-off, but really kind of more of a continuation. And my recommendation there is to just skip that. Just skip that. There's 3 seasons of that. Just stick with the original 7 seasons of Bosch, and you'll be more satisfied than if you watched Bosch Legacy. It got canceled after the 3 seasons. I think there's another spin-off with a different detective coming out actually very soon. By the time this podcast is out, it's out. Or it has begun being released. I don't know how Amazon, I think they're releasing all at once company still, instead of releasing weekly or whatever. So that's out. I think we're probably not going to watch it because we were soured so much on Bosch Legacy. It just seemed like the writing wasn't as good as the original series. So still recommend Bosch. You just go ahead and skip Bosch Legacy. And then as far as a movie, I did have a movie recommendation. We watched Mickey 17.
Oh, yeah.
That Robert Pattinson movie directed by Bong Joon-ho, the director of Parasite. And I would definitely recommend that one. It was a really good movie. Basically, the gimmick premise there kind of is that he signs up for this program where they basically digitize all his thoughts and memories and his consciousness, all that kind of thing, and then he can go out, and if he dies, they take he's like constantly backed up in this box or whatever, so they take this box and they print out a new version of him and upload his memories again, so he just like keeps going.
Interesting.
So it's kind of interesting. It's got a lot of social commentary in there in a futuristic sci-fi sense. Parasite is that too, social commentary, right? So I definitely would recommend that. So what about you? You have anything to recommend in the movies and TV?
I have one movie because last time I mentioned how I caught up on all the MCU movies streaming on Disney. So I got a little burnt out just watching Marvel movies, watching a lot of movies in a row. So I haven't watched a lot since the last time we met, but I did go out to theaters to watch Ballerina, the newest movie in the John Wick series. So I would say if you're a fan of the John Wick series, definitely check out Ballerina. It's a solid addition to it. It's I don't want to call it a spin-off, but it's like in the universe, but of course the main character is played by Ana de Armas. It's somewhere between 2 and 3 or 3 or 4 or something like that. I forget where it is in the timeline, but it's definitely a solid addition to the series. Great action as usual, and the way you look at the world building they've done in the other movies from a different character's perspective, I thought it was pretty cool.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that sounds interesting. I'll have to check that out too. I never actually saw the fourth one, so I would still have to do that. And at this point, I have most recently watched the first one again with my fiance. So
you're set up to rewatch.
Yeah, I'm set up to just
through.
rewatch from there.
Yeah.
And watch all the way through.
It's a pretty consistently good series, I would say. There's not like, one that's way better, way worse than the other ones. So those are all pretty fun. And then that brings us to listening. Have you listened to any new music or old gems lately?
I don't know. I'm still kind of in a little bit of a slump there, music-wise. I haven't really been listening to a whole lot of music. So I'm still in the same spot.
Yeah, I mean, I feel it. I've been having a hard time finding any new releases that I'm really excited about and into, which I used to be able to find more often, it felt like. But I did listen to Will Smith's new album. He had a new album come out recently called Based on a True Story. It was just okay, I would say. Yeah, it was... I got like a little bit of hype for it, and then it was a little bit disappointing. So by the end, it was just all right, because the first thing I heard was the intro track, which is kind of like a skit where he's kind of doing different voices. He's playing different characters that are like gossiping about Will Smith, because, there's been a lot of stuff in the culture, in media about him lately, or at least since the Oscars thing. So when I heard that, I was like, oh, that's interesting, because, he kind of had to do something like that if he's going to, I don't know, put an album out. It makes sense he kind of has to address it in some way, and I thought it was well done. It's an interesting intro, but then there aren't really any standout tracks after that. No getting jiggy with it, hit. And, he stopped making fun tracks for his movies, like, I don't know, in the 90s, maybe barely into the 2000s. Kind of wish he did fun stuff like that. But, that's a new release I listened to lately.
Yeah, I actually did think of something to bring out there, like, of listening to any music. It's not like I've done a super deep dive or anything, but I'm listening to a little bit more of Jesse Wells.
Oh, yeah.
I showed him to you and recently, and... it was kind of... I like his stuff. It's like a folk, folk music, kind of protest songs kind of a thing, like social commentary, very contemporary, current affairs things. He'll post a lot of stuff on social media. He'll make a minute and a half long song about something that just happened in the news, something like that. So it's kind of fun to watch that and or listen to it.
I would like to go listen to more of his stuff, because you showed me a couple songs, like you said. I liked what I heard. It's kind of like in the vein of Woody Guthrie or Bob Dylan, but it's like imagining what if those guys, as a young person today, were active on social media and they know what's going on in the world right now. Very very poignant, sarcastic, very harsh and cutting,
but that's the kind of stuff that gets your eyes opened, kind of, to like, puts some things in a little bit of a different perspective, and I think that's what art is for,
Yeah, well said. All right, that's what we've been reading, watching, or listening to lately, but also you like to update us on what Marvel Comics you've been reading lately, right?
Yes, I do, and this week what I'm doing is, these are my power rankings, my Marvel Comics power rankings, and this month, I think I said this week, this month, it's a monthly podcast, I'm going to give you my rankings for when I had just started all these series, but I give you my pre-rankings last month, this month, after I've gotten actually several issues in, and I kind of got a feel for what each one was. How did that change? So, we'll start at number 6. We have Captain America. So that's down one spot. I had Captain America number 5 in my pre-rankings. Captain America is at the bottom.
Wow.
It mostly starts out, to me, what seems like kind of in the vein of boring rehashes of the 40s villains and stories. I mean, I actually did start Captain America back there. My rankings here, I'm doing the 60s, when all these other series started. But I did read the old Captain America stuff, and that stuff does not hold up for the most part. It's very cheesy. I've told you before, it's like Scooby-Doo, where it's just like a monster of the week. It's somebody that even literally can be terrorizing a castle as like a ghost or something, and they get unmasked at the end. They're like, oh, it was so-and-so.
Mr. Jenkins the whole time.
Yeah, it's like, it is like that. But there's also, of the time, like Marvel Unlimited even puts a warning in front of most of those issues that's like, there's racist things in here, and times have changed, but it was bad at the time too, that kind of a thing. So I was going to say, kind of racist undertones, but like sometimes they're not really undertones. They're pretty overtones, and it's like kind of blatant propaganda, just the way that they depict a foreign villain by drawing them stereotypically, that kind of a thing. So that doesn't hold up. But as far as the stories in the 60s, you don't have that anymore as much, but it's still not very intriguing. You don't get any characterization for Steve Rogers. So on to number 5 on the list, fallen down from number 2. This was a surprise to me. X-Men.
Wow. I would have thought their 60s stuff would be good.
I was surprised at how much I didn't like the early X-Men. It seemed like they didn't really know how to navigate them being a big team of people. Like they all wanted to talk at the same time, and it seemed like they were spending so much time on that instead of doing something in the comic book. Like every issue, they're also like getting into arguments and fighting and stuff, and I think they're trying to say that they're just a group of teenagers that are fighting with each other, but it's just not interesting. It was the kind of problem that I thought might be the case, and the reason why I didn't include the Avengers in my list is that it's just a team, and it seems like it wouldn't be very interesting. You wouldn't get any information of each individual member of the team, and it seems like that was the problem with X-Men, and it just wasn't. It just gets tiresome. It's just not interesting. The same thing over and over. So then we get to number 3 down, or number 4 down one spot from my pre-ranking of number 3 is Iron Man. It was kind of cool to see how this character started out. It's a character I've always liked. Didn't really know very much about the early, issues of Iron Man, but the plots weren't always that interesting. Pepper and Happy keep the personal Tony Stark story fun, though, at this time. So that was a little redeeming. That's what keeps it higher than X-Men and Captain America. But otherwise, there's nothing really special coming there. The second surprise is at number 3. I have Hulk up from number 6. My pre-rankings, I had it down at the bottom. I didn't think Hulk was added last minute. I almost didn't have Hulk on my list, and I was just like, I'll throw it on there. But I liked Hulk because it seemed like it moved pretty quickly right at the beginning from like simple like monster mag thing is what it kind of thought. That's kind of what I thought it would be for a long time, but it kind of quickly went away from that and became a way to try out some weird out there things, throwing Hulk into space, into Asgard, and like different dimensions, and he's flying through, he's doing weird stuff. There's weird stuff going on in this comic book, it kept it pretty interesting in the beginning, and I wasn't expecting that, because you get a lot of different things that are happening. Number 2 I have, this is up from number 4 of my pre-rankings, is Daredevil. And I didn't really know much about Daredevil. I can't even pull something out that is super notable about these early issues that made me like it so much. It's just, for some reason in general, the story just caught me and the character caught me. I think it's because he's kind of similar to Spider-Man in a way. He does similar things, the like swinging around, and agility. I like that as a power. I've always liked like super agility for some reason as a power, and he's got something else that keeps him down on his luck a lot. It adds to, he has more characterization in those comic books than these other ones that I have mentioned, which is what I liked about Spider-Man too, right? Is there's a lot of Spider-Man, it's a lot about Peter Parker in there, where he's down on his luck all the time. It's the thing that's relatable. It's like relatable that this superhero isn't so super. They're just a real person that has all these problems. And so Matt Murdock is like that too, where he's a blind lawyer. He seems like his personal life takes a big hit from him being a superhero, whereas, well, obviously Bruce Banner does, except that he's barely Bruce Banner in the comic books, so you don't get a lot of that. It's like all he is ruined. There is almost no Bruce Banner, because it's so destructive to his personal life. But yeah, so that's why I like Daredevil. And then, number one, stays at the top right now, is Spider-Man. Very early, it jumps out as clearly the best of these comics that I have on my list. Like I said, it focuses on Peter Parker as a character and his problems. And it's all intertwined, Peter Parker's problems interfere with Spider-Man. Spider-Man's issues interfere with Peter Parker. So the storytelling is good, and whereas all the other characters that I've mentioned, they come across as very one-dimensional because it focuses on just being a hero for the most part. There's more to the Peter Parker Spider-Man character, so that stays at the top from the beginning.
And that's the only one that stayed where it was, right? Everything else seemed to move around a lot. That's the only one that stayed
where it was. Everything else really moved around, and the closest one was Iron Man. Iron Man kind of stayed in the middle.
Well, yeah, that's interesting to hear, and I'm interested to see if they move around even more as it continues.
Yeah.
Okay, well, on that note, we can get into our main event today. We didn't quite have time last time, but we wanted to react to some comments that we've gotten on our channel here. Last time we talked about how and why we started this YouTube channel, and we've been doing it for almost 5 years. 4.5 years now. So, we haven't had, a big viral moment with lots of comments on one video or something like that. But every once in a while, we get a comment. Sometimes they're really nice. Sometimes they're just weird. So we both chose some comments to pull from our videos and talk about. So let me pull up my list and we'll talk about those ones first.
Yeah.
Let's see. The first one I wanted to mention was just, I don't even know what to say about it. This is from one of the shorts that I put up. 3 times the movie was better than the book. And Leonard Horan commented, I want to write a book called The Fart that would carry a trilogy that fools a fart that touches everyone. What do you think? I think it's supposed to say that follows a fart that touches everyone.
Oh, I did not put that together. I just had that the sentence devolved and I had no idea what it might have been talking about at the end, but that makes sense.
Yeah. As much as this comment makes any sense, I guess he's just pitching his book trilogy idea where I guess it's from the perspective of a fart and it grows and grows and touches everyone in the world, maybe?
I don't know.
Yeah, sorry we didn't.
I just thought it was like touching, like a fart that has a big impact on everyone,
Like an emotional impact or like an earthquake. Either way, sorry, Leonard, that we didn't reply and tell you what we think of the idea. We're not publishers.
We didn't know what to say.
Yeah,
speechless.
We're still pondering it. I guess we want to hear more if you want to describe it more, but also I might recommend talking to a publisher or something because, we don't have much power to do anything with it, and you don't want to just give your idea for free. Someone might steal it.
That's true.
Well, okay, moving on. The next one is from our episode on Twelfth Night by Shakespeare and She's the Man, where Yesenia commented, I'm currently reading The 12th Night, and then I was like, wait a minute, I know this story. And I just thought this is funny to imagine someone sitting down to read Shakespeare and they're like, wait, this reminds me of a movie I saw one time with Amanda Bynes.
Yeah. From the perspective of watching it, back then and not knowing it had anything to do with Shakespeare. You read that later,
Yeah, you're trying to...
I mean, I didn't know that 10 Things I Hate About You back in the day was based on Shakespeare.
Yeah, it's easy to not know that, and so that's a funny experience to have when, as an adult, you're trying to go back and read a literary classic, and you're like, this sounds like a teen rom-com I watched 20 years ago. All right, next one from still one of my favorite books that we've done, Sphere. Beaches and Nugs commented, if this ain't...
Beaches and Guns.
Oh, I thought it was Nugs.
You flipped it around.
The big capital N for the and, threw me off. Beaches and Guns. That's more violent than the peaceful thing I was thinking of. Beaches and Guns commented, if this ain't good, I'ma F y'all up. I just thought this was funny.
Because we liked Sphere so much.
Yeah, like, this person is taking our recommendation very seriously. Like, okay, they said it's good, I'm going to check it out, and if it's not good, I'm going to be pissed. And I find this comment more scary now that I see guns in the person's name.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that. All right, next one. This one was somewhat recent on our video of Loop by Koji Suzuki. This is our third annual episode of the Ring series that was recommended to us. We knew the horror movie Ring. We didn't know they were based on Japanese novels. And we've done 3 by now, and we got a comment from Colton saying, wait till they figure out Tide doesn't have an English translation. I don't know what we're going to do about this one.
I don't know. Like, this was such a surprise to me. Like, I was not ready for this. I know that it was hard to find, just like looking in bookstores, kind of passively, just whenever I was at one, to even find a copy of S. The one before this one. Like you said, we had 3 out so far. Later on this year, we have Birthday, Ring Zero. Well, it's just called Birthday, right? Happy Birthday? Wait.
Something like that. I think it's Ring
Birthday.
Zero.
Book of Short Stories.
Birthday.
Ring Zero Birthday is the movie.
Yeah. So that's number 4.
And yeah, that's number 4. And then we have S and then Tide. So Tide's the 6th one.
Yeah.
And it was so far ahead, like, I didn't even think to look at that. I figure if the rest of them have translations, why doesn't the last one?
I was thinking the same thing.
This really floored me. I really looked it up, and it does not. And so I have started learning Japanese on Duolingo at this day.
Yeah. Based
on our regular schedule, we have about 2 years until we have to read that. After starting now, I don't feel very hopeful about being able to read an entire adult novel in Japanese in 2 years.
That would be...
I'm going to try. Hopefully somebody translates it in that time.
Yeah. That's a good point. I was going to say that would be very impressive if you could read a whole novel in Japanese with just 2 years of practice as an adult language learner.
Yeah.
But yeah, this didn't even cross my mind that if we've been finding all these other ones in English, why the last one wouldn't have an English translation. That's what makes me hope they just haven't done it yet, but hopefully someone out there is working on a translation that we can get our hands on.
Maybe it could be good enough if I could find a Japanese ebook version of this where I can copy and paste the text directly into just Google Translate and read it that way. It probably would not be very accurate, but it might be close enough to get kind of the gist of the plot.
I in general don't trust Google Translate. I mean, I always tell students that I'm teaching English, like, don't use Google Translate, or don't trust it, at least. But it could be an interesting episode of Adaptation Station, like, it's not... That's another take on the Adaptation.
Adaptation is the Google Translate.
Like an AI
version.
kind of, adaptation in a sense.
Well, that was the thought that I had, is like, are we now or within 2 years close enough for AI to be able to just translate that? Is there some AI tool, even a paid one, where I could go like, hey, translate this book for me. I've bought this book, I will pay for this book, and I just need and I'll pay the program to translate it for me. It's like paying a program it's like me paying somebody who's Japanese to sit there with me and translate it and read it aloud to me.
That's true. I don't doubt it. I bet, especially within 2 years, there's probably something we could use to do that. I don't think it would be as good as, of course, like a human translator that's, gets the literature and the storytelling of it all, but it'll probably be better than old-fashioned Google Translate. So, yeah, I'm sure there'll be an option out there. Well, we'll see in a couple years. Stay tuned. The next comment I wanted to point out was from our video of Love in the Time of Cholera, where our dad commented on it. And he said, I read a nonfiction book about how emotions are formed, where the author described a reluctant first date. She was surprised by the feelings she had during dinner and that it could turn out that she was actually attracted to this man. She agreed to a second date, they said their goodnight, and she promptly went home and threw up. She had the flu. I think that's an interesting story because we discussed in that episode the idea in the novel of the symptoms of cholera being the same as the symptoms of love. So this backs up that theory that, like, if you're feeling sick, you might think that you're in love with someone, and maybe vice versa.
Yeah. Just by going like, I don't know, I'm having such a reaction, like my heart is beating a little bit faster. I'm flushed. I'm sweating.
Butterflies in the stomach, but it's actually like nausea.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting example. Next one. This was from our top 10 albums of the 21st century video. Optimal Forager commented, you both disqualified yourselves as serious music critics by including the Strokes. I was a little surprised to get this comment. First, that we even are considered as trying to be serious music critics.
Yeah.
This is like the first time we did an explicitly like music related video.
Yeah.
I'm also surprised because I thought the Strokes were generally really popular. I didn't think that was a controversial opinion.
I thought so too, and I obviously we like them, and the kind of funny thing is like their latest album won a Grammy. So what do you want? I don't know. This person is counterculture person. I think that happens a lot of times in like people want their music critics to find the deep cuts and be a little more I don't know what you would call that, the traditional like hipster
kind of having your finger thing, on the pulse of culture in a way that's like, I found this band, I went to a show, there were like 3 other people there watching with me, nobody knows about them.
Kind of like it's just like you don't want your cool with it music critic to be saying, oh, Taylor Swift is the best.
Yeah, that's true. So maybe to your point, that the fact that they won a Grammy, now they're like not cool anymore. They're too well known.
Yeah, maybe.
So maybe 20
years
I
don't think that's the best album. I don't know why that's the one that won a Grammy, but
I agree. I don't think it is either, but
I think it speaks more to the state of modern rock music.
Yeah.
Because it was
Grammy.
Like best rock album, I think they won, and it's kind of like rock. There's not a lot of rock out there now, new rock that is
it's a good point.
Fantastic like it used to be.
Less competition at the Grammys.
Yeah.
Okay, well, stay tuned for more bad music tastes if we ever make more music-related videos.
Yeah.
Oh, the next one, I just wanted to put a positive comment we got in here on our Sir Gawain and the Green Knight video. The Cool Guy 463 commented, guys, period. I just came across your channel. Don't give up. Keep going. I wish you all the best on your YouTube journey. Thank you, the Cool Guy. You are a cool guy. It's nice to have a positive comment after a negative one,
Yeah, and what's more, his picture is kind of small and grainy, but it looks like he's eating an ice cream cone.
Yeah, that's a cool guy. Just relaxing.
Seems on brand.
Yeah. Yep, that's a cool one. And that's the last one I wanted to include, and on a positive note. What about you? You had some comments?
Yeah, I just had a couple extra things to add there. I wanted to shout out the people who gave us suggestions. We like to take suggestions, and we will do them. I think we've done everything that has been suggested to us. The first one being Carlos Fontes commented that he just finished the novel Under the Skin. This was on Under the Skin episode. And then we had, a kind of a few replies there. And then he said, he talked more in depth about his thoughts on Under the Skin. And that's where he suggested Ring to us, which became our yearly Halloween bonus episode. So like you said, we're 3 years into that at this point. So thank you for that comment for sure. Also, on both our episode of Under the Skin and our episode on Ring, Cheryl commented and suggested The Prestige, which we also then subsequently did. I really enjoyed that book.
And I loved the movie. I think you enjoyed
the movie.
Yeah.
And on that episode, on the Prestige episode, Cheryl commented, "Holy cow, I am Cheryl Brashear," because we shouted her out in that she suggested The Prestige, and she's like, "Thank you so much for this." So that was cool to see somebody saw their suggestion materialize.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool. A couple more recommendations on our Sphere episode. Tommy Patton Kendrick III suggested The Dark Half.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up doing that one. On the Dark Half episode, Mr. Hootie Dean suggested Dolores Claiborne. That also is a very good one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's all of the suggestions. A couple other funny ones on our Why Don't You Dance / Everything Must Go episode. Again, our dad commented, "Did Will eat the Twinkie right at the beginning?" Which was funny because that's Everything Must Go starring Will Ferrell, and that's a ongoing reference in our family of the Man vs. Wild celebrity episode with Will Ferrell on it, where they had a survival Twinkie that he famously ate like almost right at the beginning.
And it was one Twinkie for both of them, right? The one survival Twinkie?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so he ate their survival Twinkie, and it's kind of just a funny moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last thing is on the Sphere episode. We had somebody, Be True 86, commented, "Love the concept, fellas. Could be some great content. Also, loved Sphere, Congo movies, etc. Haven't read any books yet." And that ties perfectly into Congo, just released this season on Adaptation Station. While you're hearing this, you could go and watch that one. So that's my tie-in to that. And that's the last comment that I have.
Yeah, those are good ones. It's a good reminder to the audience, if you want us to do anything specific, we love getting recommendations in the comments. We'll always bump it up on our long list of potential episodes. And yeah, it sounds like after hearing you review all of those, I mean, some of those are our best episodes, I feel like. They're our most fun to do. Obviously, I didn't know about a lot of those. Like, we both didn't know The Ring had a book series, and that's been a fun yearly thing.
And Dolores Claiborne was kind of a sleeper. Hadn't really heard much about that, and we both enjoyed that.
So. That's like a lesser-known Stephen King one. All right. So thank you so much to all the commenters. Even if you're commenting something negative, you're still watching our video, so thanks for checking it out. And speaking of that, thank you also for listening to episode 2 of the Some Brothers podcast. In case you missed it, our latest episode of Adaptation Station this month was another William Shakespeare episode on the play A Midsummer Night's Dream, and another teen adaptation, this one a musical rom-com, Get Over It, from 2001. You can check that out right now on our channel. And stay tuned, because our next upcoming episode will be on the book Animal Husbandry and the movie adaptation Someone Like You.
Yeah, and before we go, we're going to do our recast of the episode, where we take an existing movie, TV show, franchise, and we pick a character that we think, if we got the chance to play producer or casting director, whatever, who we would want to play that role. And for this month, I've picked Naked Gun, because that movie is just released this summer, and it is a reboot instead of the original, you had Leslie Nielsen. The reboot stars Liam Neeson, which, by the way, funny how similar those names become. Leslie Nielsen, Liam Neeson. It's almost the same. It's like they subconsciously did that.
It might not have been subconscious. Maybe it's a funny joke that's like,
maybe it's a joke. Yeah. Yeah. So if you had to recast Naked Gun and recast that character, who would you pick?
Yeah, this is a tough one because, I mean, it's Leslie Nielsen was so funny in his own way. It's hard to imagine anyone else in any of his roles. I mean, I love Airplane and the Naked Gun series. They chose Liam Neeson was kind of a surprise pick, maybe for the name, and it's funny that he would do such a thing. So after I thought about it for a little bit, I would choose Tom Cruise to be in a new Naked Gun movie.
Interesting.
Because, well, he's in that age range now as an older actor. He's mostly known for action and drama, but so is Liam Neeson. And Tom Cruise, he was funny in Tropic Thunder. I didn't even know that was him the first time I watched it, that like producer guy with the makeup or whatever stuff he had on. So I know he can be funny, and he's just a great actor. I feel like he would play it very serious, that in a way that fits well with Leslie Nielsen's dry type of humor where it doesn't even seem like he's in on the joke. So that's why I picked Tom Cruise.
Yeah, that I could definitely see that, and I think that's what they're doing with Liam Neeson too. Like, you need somebody who can play the straight man well amidst comedic dialogue even. Which is kind of funny. So I had a hard time picking this one too, honestly, and for some reason I had one thing stick in my head, and I chose Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Ah, okay.
As because I was thinking of like comedic actors and stuff, but it was like it all seemed too silly and on the nose.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't find somebody to play it straight, which you went kind of the same way. I stayed a little bit more in comedy, but she's not like over the top always, with her roles. So I don't know, it just seemed good to me. I could picture her in there playing it straight, but also delivering the silly line well. That
didn't cross my mind, but I can definitely see it. I think that's a great pick. I totally agree, because she's obviously funny. We know she's funny, but she's never like the wacky, crazy character. She is kind of like, the more straightforward person in a comedy. So, yeah, I would definitely watch it. Okay, so those are our picks for recasting The Naked Gun, the next reboot that comes out, I guess. Thank you again for listening to this episode of the Some Brothers Podcast. Support us with a like and subscribe, and stay tuned. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.